My 11-year-old grandson had been outside so long that he was no longer shivering. That terrified me most. Owen stood barefoot beside the garage in a t-shirt and shorts, while the temperature read 8 degrees. Through the window, I saw 13 people passing turkey as if the freezing child 20 feet away did not exist. Please, before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you are listening from today. I had not planned to arrive early. An ice warning sent me out before the roads worsened. June's pecan pie sat beside me, made from the recipe my late wife guarded for 41 years. Owen always stole the first pecan, and I had imagined his smile. Instead, I found him against the siding with his arms inside his shirt. His lips were blue, and frozen tears marked his cheeks. "Owen?" He flinched, then tried to stand straight, as though being caught suffering was another offense. I dropped the pie and wrapped my coat around him. His feet were red and still. "How long have you been here?" "I don't know." "Who locked you out?" He looked toward the dining room. "Grandpa, don't make them mad." I pulled him close. "You are not in trouble. Tell me." His numb fingers gripped my lapel. "Dad said I must confess before I can come inside." "Confess to what?" "Taking Grandma June's bracelet." June's diamond bracelet had stayed in its walnut case since she died. 3 weeks earlier, I had lent it to Claire to display beside June's photograph at Thanksgiving. Owen knew the tiny J engraved near its clasp. June once told him it would belong to the person who remembered the stories behind it. "Did you take it?" "No." His voice fell. "But Aunt Rachel has it." "Did you see her take it?" "Uncle Grant told me not to say." The mudroom door opened. Claire stepped outside in a cream sweater, holding wine. Warm light surrounded her. "Arthur." "You're early." I stared at her bare arms, then at Owen's feet. "Why is he outside?" She sighed. "We are handling a behavioral problem. He needs a hospital. He needs to learn that lying has consequences." She claimed he had been out 5 minutes. His fitness watch showed 43. Claire's face changed when she saw it. "The watch must be wrong. His skin isn't." She lowered her voice. "Michael and I agreed on this. Don't undermine us. Everyone can see him. The blinds were supposed to be closed." She heard the cruelty only after saying it. I lifted Owen. At 11, he was too old to be carried, and too cold to resist. Claire blocked the door. "You cannot enter my house and overrule me. Move. You don't understand what he has become. He steals, lies, and frightens Lily." Lily was her 9-year-old daughter. Owen had spent a month building her a dollhouse in my workshop. "What did he do to her?" Claire hesitated. "That is not the point." It was the first crack in her story. Behind her, Michael rose from the table. My son saw Owen in my arms, then lowered his eyes. He had known. That hurt more than Claire's excuses. "Dad," he called, "don't make a scene." I carried Owen inside. For 1 second, nobody moved. The room smelled of roasted turkey and cinnamon, a warmth made obscene by the ice still clinging to Owen's bare feet. "You had 43 minutes to stop one." Conversation died 1 chair at a time. Grant carved turkey at the head of the table. Rachel sat beside him with her left wrist hidden beneath a napkin. June's empty jewelry case rested on the sideboard like evidence prepared for an audience. Someone had staged a family trial, and only the accused child had been denied a seat. I placed Owen beside the fireplace, wrapped him in a blanket, and called emergency services. Claire reached for my phone. I caught her wrist. "You will not stop me from getting help for my grandson." Michael approached. "Give us 1 minute to explain." "You had 43. Owen tugged my sleeve, staring at Grant. "Grandpa," he whispered, "the bracelet isn't the only thing they took." Grant's carving knife stopped. Rachel pulled the napkin over her wrist. Every adult at that table understood that the child they had locked outside had carried the truth back in with him. The paramedics arrived before anyone resumed eating. Elena knelt beside Owen and asked, "Who removed his shoes?" Claire answered too quickly. "He did. He ran outside during a tantrum." Outside, she had called it punishment. With uniforms present, it became an escape. Elena found early frost injury and a core temperature requiring hospital monitoring. Another half hour could have changed this conversation. Claire folded her arms. He wasn't out long. I showed Elena the watch. 43 minutes of falling skin temperature. Fitness watches are unreliable, Claire said. Blue lips are not, Elena replied. Officer Daniel Mercer arrived and asked everyone to remain. Grant objected. Do we need police over family discipline? Mercer looked at Owen's feet. When discipline causes a medical emergency, it stops being private. Rachel rose, with the napkin covering her wrist. I need the restroom. Sit down, Claire ordered. Fear passed between the sisters. Mercer separated their stories. Claire claimed Owen frightened Lily, removed his shoes, and ran outside. Michael said Owen was sent to the mudroom and somehow crossed a locked door. Grant claimed he saw nothing. 3 stories, none matching the frozen child. Lily sat crumbling a dinner roll. Mercer crouched beside her. Did Owen frighten you? Claire interrupted. Don't question her, Lily whispered. Owen didn't scare me. Claire moved toward her. Remember what happened near the stairs? I dropped the jewelry box. After Owen grabbed it, Lily shook her head. He told me not to touch it. Mercer asked Claire to step back. Now she said Owen had only spoken in a disturbing tone. Michael repeated those words as if borrowing an explanation he had never heard. Elena prepared Owen for transport. When she asked which parent would ride with him, Michael stepped forward. Owen recoiled. Grandpa, that one word broke something in my son's face. Before we left, Mercer asked who locked the door. Silence moved around the table. Lily pointed at Michael. Daddy did. Michael closed his eyes. Claire said he should stay out until he admitted taking the bracelet. I thought it would be 5 minutes. You turned the lock? Yes. Did you check the temperature? No. Did you check your son? Michael stared down. I could see him through the window. I had believed I raised a man who would run through fire for his child. He had watched that child freeze because opposing his wife felt harder than crossing a room. Claire retrieved Owen's backpack and emptied it onto the table. Papers, pencils, and an inhaler fell out. Then, a velvet pouch landed beside the gravy. Inside was one of June's pearl earrings. We found this before Arthur arrived, Claire said. Owen has stolen for weeks. I recognized the earring, but not the pouch. June kept her pearls in a blue silk envelope. The velvet belonged to Claire. I had seen it at Michael's birthday. Where was his backpack? I asked. In the coat closet, where every guest could reach it. Grant laughed. Now we all planted evidence? I didn't say all of you. His smile vanished. Mercer bagged the earring and pouch separately. Claire accused me of making a troubled child into a victim because he reminded me of June. Owen heard her from the stretcher. His face folded inward, but he did not cry. He had learned that tears could become evidence against him. Michael tried to touch his hand. Owen pulled away. You saw me, Dad. I thought you would confess. I was telling the truth. Elena wheeled him toward the door. Claire demanded Mercer remove me for undermining her authority. Then my phone vibrated. Rachel had posted a Thanksgiving photograph 27 minutes earlier. Everyone smiled around the table. Owen's chair was empty. On Rachel's uncovered wrist was June's missing diamond bracelet. I enlarged the image until the engraved J beside the clasp appeared. Claire saw it over my shoulder. For the first time that night, she had no new version ready. I showed the photograph to Officer Mercer. Rachel went pale. Claire recovered first. That is costume jewelry. I enlarged the clasp until the tiny J filled the screen. June marked that herself. There is only one. Rachel removed the napkin. The bracelet was gone. Mercer asked where it was. Upstairs. I took it off when Arthur arrived. Why? Claire said he might misunderstand. Claire snapped. Stop talking. Mercer warned her not to instruct a witness. Rachel began crying. She said Claire gave her the bracelet that afternoon and claimed June intended it for the women in their family. June was Owen's family, I said. Rachel looked at the stretcher. I didn't know they blamed him. Owen finally raised his eyes. You heard them asking me where I put it. Her silence answered. An officer found the bracelet inside the upstairs toilet tank, wrapped in a towel. Rachel admitted hiding it after seeing my car. Claire insisted Owen could have stolen it and passed it to Rachel. Rachel shook her head. Claire gave it to me at 2. Claire turned on her. After all Grant and I have done for you? Grant stood. We are done without a lawyer. Mercer reminded him nobody was under arrest yet. As Elena wheeled Owen out, Lily called, "I'm sorry." Owen looked back. "You didn't lock me outside." At the hospital, warming blankets covered him while a nurse treated his feet. The doctor expected no permanent damage, but kept him overnight. Social worker Denise Ward questioned him without Michael or Claire. I sat close enough to reassure him, far enough not to shape his answers. Owen said the accusation began when he saw Rachel wearing the bracelet before dinner. Grant took him into the pantry and ordered him to claim he found it in his backpack. When he refused, Claire produced the pearl earring in the velvet pouch. Michael asked his son to confess just once so Thanksgiving would not be ruined. "I told Dad the pouch wasn't mine," Owen said. "He said Claire wouldn't lie about something serious." Then Michael removed Owen's shoes and locked him outside. "Why the shoes?" Denise asked. Claire said thieves don't deserve comforts bought by people they steal from. She had turned warmth into a privilege and persuaded my son to enforce it. Denise documented everything. Child services arranged emergency placement. Owen would not return home. Michael waited outside. When I told him, he whispered, "He should stay with you. That is no longer your decision. Dad, I made one terrible mistake. 43 minutes is a choice repeated 43 times. His phone buzzed. Before he hit it, I read Claire's message. "Delete the family chat before police take your phone." "What chat?" I asked. "Nothing." I held out my hand. For once he surrendered the phone. The group was called Thanksgiving Plan. Most messages were erased, but one remained because Owen had reacted to it 2 days earlier. Claire had written, "Once he admits taking one piece, Arthur will believe the rest." Grant replied, "Make sure the old camera disappears first." Michael read it twice. "What camera?" Owen heard through the half-open door. "The one Grandma gave me. It has pictures of everything." I remembered June and Owen spending afternoons photographing jewelry, silver, and letters. She called it their treasure history game. I had thought the camera was a keepsake. Claire and Grant knew it was an inventory. "Where is it?" I asked. Fear entered Owen's face. "It was in my room this morning," Claire said. "Grant packed it." "Packed it for where?" "The school they said I was going to after Thanksgiving." Nobody had mentioned a school to me. Michael's face said someone had mentioned it to him. Denise asked him directly. "What school?" He sank into the hallway chair. "Pine Ridge Behavioral Academy." Claire said Owen needed structure for his stealing and anger. "Did you enroll him?" I signed an evaluation form. Owen began trembling again, though the room was warm. I asked Michael when Claire first proposed sending his son away. 6 weeks ago. June's first missing heirloom had disappeared 5 weeks ago. The plan had begun before Owen was ever accused. They were not punishing him because they believed he stole. They were building a reason to remove the only witness who knew exactly what was gone. Michael claimed he signed only an information request from Pine Ridge. Denise made him find the form. The contract scheduled Owen's intake for Monday and authorized staff to collect him without further parental contact. Michael's signature filled every page. Claire called it an evaluation. "You signed without learning where your son was going," Denise replied. While Owen slept, Mercer searched his room with Michael's consent. The camera bag was missing, but its tracking tag transmitted from Grant's SUV outside the house. Grant refused to open it. By dawn, a judge approved a search based on the family chat. The camera lay beneath the spare tire, wrapped in June's embroidered tablecloth. Its memory card was gone. Grant claimed Owen hid it there. Mercer asked why cloth from my home surrounded it. Grant asked for a lawyer. Owen woke and asked if the camera was broken. I explained about the card. "Grandma made it send pictures to her computer," he said. "She thought I might erase them." June's old desktop had remained unplugged since her death. Mercer accompanied me home. When I connected it, a folder named Owen and Grandma's Treasures appeared. Inside were 486 photographs. June's hands held each object against blue cloth, while Owen captured every marking and storage place. She had typed the history beneath each set. The bracelet marked our 25th anniversary. The pearls came from her mother. A silver compass belonged to my father during the Korean War. Their worth lived in voices no longer able to defend them. A newer folder contained pictures from 6 weeks earlier, when a pipe leak damaged my hallway. Michael, Claire, and Grant had moved the cedar cabinet's contents to Michael's dry basement. I accepted the return boxes without counting them. Owen had not. He photographed every shelf before and after the move, because June taught him that remembering meant paying attention. 17 objects were missing. The bracelet, pearl earring, 2 gold lockets, my father's compass, 4 coins, 3 silver serving pieces, a ruby brooch, 2 handwritten letters, June's wedding ring, and a sealed envelope marked for Owen at 18. Estimated value? Mercer asked. About 80,000. To us, more. The wedding ring had never left June's hand until a nurse placed it in mine. Seeing its empty space felt like losing her twice. 5 accidental photographs had also synced on moving day. One showed Grant carrying a green crate toward his SUV rather than Michael's basement. Another showed Claire holding June's ring. The timestamps proved the removal happened before anyone accused Owen. The final image was dark, but clear enough. Grant closed the crate, while Claire held a list. Michael stood beside them, pointing toward the shelf containing Owen's sealed envelope. Mercer enlarged it. Your son knew they were taking something. Perhaps he thought they were moving it, I said, though the defense sounded weak. In Michael's other hand was a bank notice, stamped past due beside the name of his construction company. It explained desperation, not cruelty. Theft might begin with panic. Framing a child required choice. We uploaded the photographs and inventory to Mercer's evidence server. Before leaving, I read June's note beneath the missing envelope. This belongs to Owen, but Michael must never know what is inside, until our grandson is old enough to choose for himself. June never kept secrets without reason. If Claire took that envelope, the jewelry was not her only target. At the hospital, Michael sat beside Owen's bed with the missing memory card in his hand. Owen was asleep, so my son spoke quietly. Claire found the camera in his room. Grant removed the card, but I took it before he could destroy it. Why? Because I knew they were going to blame Owen. The admission struck harder than denial. You knew before dinner? Michael nodded. I thought if he confessed, Claire would return everything and we could fix it privately. You locked your son in lethal cold to protect thieves. I was protecting all of us. No. You selected the smallest person to pay for the adults. His eyes filled. Then he placed the card in my palm. Dad, those boxes paid debts I never told you about. But the sealed envelope is why Claire married me. What does she think is inside? I asked. Michael looked at Owen before answering. Proof that he owns part of the company and that I was never supposed to control it. The jewelry merely funded her search. Michael asked for 10 minutes alone. Denise agreed only after moving Owen, and warning that anything concerning him would be reported. Beneath the hospital lights, my son explained how a bad season at Bennett Construction swallowed his judgment. 3 projects stalled after material costs rose. He used credit to cover payroll, then began gambling online, convinced one win could restore the money. He lost $22,000 in 6 weeks and borrowed more to chase it. When Claire discovered the transfers, his company owed $146,000, and he had used Owen's college account as collateral without court approval. You gambled his future? I told myself it was temporary. Temporary is what people call tonight when they need tomorrow to excuse it. Claire threatened to report him and seek control of Owen unless he followed her plan. Grant claimed private buyers would purchase June's jewelry quietly. They would pay the bank and replace each piece before I noticed. Michael allowed them to take the crate. The photograph shows you pointing at Owen's envelope. Claire asked where June kept papers connected to Bennett Works. Bennett Works was the cabinet company my father founded, and I sold 12 years earlier. I retained a royalty interest for a trust. Claire once overheard June tell our attorney that at 18, Owen would receive the right to choose what happens to the family name. She decided the envelope held ownership worth millions. It doesn't, I said. Then what is inside? June never told me. She wanted the choice protected from us both. Claire married me 8 months after hearing that. When Grant failed to find the envelope in the first crate, Claire stole smaller pieces, Owen noticed the empty spaces. Claire proposed Pine Ridge, saying a behavioral record would make his accusations appear imaginary. On Thanksgiving, Owen saw Rachel wearing the bracelet. Grant decided a confession would discredit him and make me blame him for every loss. And you agreed? Not at first, but you removed his shoes. Claire had shown Michael screenshots of his gambling and a draft report addressed to police, the bank, and child services. She promised to erase them if Owen confessed. Michael believed 5 cold minutes would frighten his son. Then dinner began, and whenever he moved toward the door, Claire reminded him one confession could preserve his company, marriage, and custody. You watched the clock? I watched him. That is worse, he cried. I know. You know because police arrived. Owen knew while he watched you through the glass. I asked what he would have done if I arrived at 5. He could not answer. Michael gave me access to his accounts and messages with Grant. My attorney, Evelyn Shaw, reviewed them by video. Pawn receipts totaled $91,300. Only $4,000 reached Bennett Construction. The rest passed through Keller Family Logistics, owned by Claire and Grant. They said the bank was processing it. Your debt remains, Evelyn said. Grant had also charged consulting fees for finding the buyers. They had used Michael's shame to enrich themselves while leaving him responsible for the theft. That morning, Claire transferred $18,000 from Michael's account to Pine Ridge as a non-refundable deposit. She paid to remove Owen using money Michael believed protected him. Denise returned with Mercer. Michael gave a recorded statement, admitting the gambling, illegal collateral, theft conspiracy, false accusation, and locked door. Mercer warned that cooperation would not erase criminal or custody consequences. I understand. He asked to apologize. Denise refused. An apology while Owen is trapped in a hospital bed comforts you. He decides when he hears it. Michael nodded and left with police to identify the storage locations. I returned to Owen. He held the wooden keychain he had made for Lily. Is Dad going to jail? I don't know. Is it my fault because I wouldn't confess? I sat beside him. Truth did not cause this. It stopped their lie. Owen reached for his game console. Grandma taught me to record stories when people change them. What stories? Voices. I recorded Uncle Grant in the pantry. What did he say? Owen looked toward the closed door. He said they would send me away before Grandpa counted the boxes. That proves the plan. There's more. He handed me the console. Someone answered him. It wasn't Claire. I played the first seconds. Grant's voice was clear. Then another man said, once the boy is gone, Michael signs whatever we put in front of him. I recognized the voice immediately. It belonged to someone who had eaten at my table for 30 years and who had helped write June's trust. The voice belonged to Thomas Bell, the attorney who drafted June's trust and attended our Christmas dinners for 30 years. Now he discussed removing the boy, as if clearing furniture. I played the file for Mercer and Denise. Grant said, the kid saw Rachel with the bracelet. Bell replied, give his accusations a diagnosis. Pine Ridge documents instability, then Michael signs authority to Claire. What if Arthur checks the trust? He won't know the schedule was replaced until the envelope is gone. How long must Owen stay away? Bell laughed. Long enough for everyone to doubt him when he tells the truth. Owen watched his fear become evidence. Grant then addressed him. Confess, or Monday, a van collects you. No Grandpa, no Lily. No home until you learn which memories belong in your mouth. Bell added, if the old man asks, say the camera broke. The timestamp placed both men in the pantry at 3:18, nearly 2 hours before I arrived. Mercer copied the file and preserved the console's system log. Did I do wrong by recording them? Owen asked. You recorded a threat made to you. You did nothing wrong. When I called Evelyn, she went quiet. Bell had retired but remained a paid advisor to Pine Ridge. 6 weeks earlier, he accessed the archive containing June's trust, claiming he needed a tax schedule. The date matched the pipe leak. Only you and Bell knew the envelope was referenced, I said. I knew the cabinet, not the shelf, Evelyn replied. Bell wrote its location into a private appendix. Claire had not guessed at millions. Bell sold her that belief because he needed someone inside my family to steal for him. Denise received notice that Claire had filed an emergency request to remove Owen from the hospital. She alleged that I manipulated him during a grief episode. Thomas Bell was her attorney. 20 minutes later, he entered the pediatric wing, carrying the leather folder used at June's estate meetings. Claire followed. Security stopped them outside Owen's room. Bell presented Michael's Pine Ridge authorization as proof Claire controlled placement. Denise told him Michael had revoked it and Child Services imposed a safety plan. Bell smiled. A frightened father cannot void a contract because an elderly parent pressures him. I stepped forward. "Hello, Thomas." His hand tightened around the folder. "Arthur, grief has made this hostile. Did grief put Owen outside barefoot? I was not present for that event." A careful answer. He had been present earlier. "When did you last speak with Grant?" "Months ago." "Were you at the house today?" "Certainly not." Owen called through the partly open door. "He was in the pantry." Bell made his mistake. A device in that boy's pocket could not record clearly through his winter coat. Nobody had mentioned a device, pocket, or coat. "How do you know where it was?" Mercer asked. Claire described the accusation. Claire stared at him. "No, I didn't." Their alliance cracked in one sentence. Bell tried to leave. Mercer recorded his identification but lacked grounds to hold him. Claire remained. "Thomas said the envelope proves Owen owns 40% of Bennett Works. Michael can act for him until 18. The company was sold. No shares remain. Then why did June hide it? So people like you could not decide Owen's truth before he was old enough to speak." Claire's face showed calculation, not guilt. "Have you opened it?" "No." "Then you don't know Bell was wrong." Police escorted her out under the safety order. Owen waited until the hall emptied and reached for the console. The recording didn't end in the pantry. He had forgotten to stop it after Grant returned the device. For the next hour, it captured voices through his backpack in the coat closet. We heard the plan to plant the Pearl and Bell dictating 3 addresses where Grant sold June's property. Claire asked, "What happens when the pawn shops identify us?" Bell answered, "They won't. Every ticket carries Michael's signature." Then another sound followed, the tearing of paper. Bell said, "This is the real trust schedule. Burn it tonight." Claire asked why. "Because the envelope is worthless without it, and Arthur can never know who June named to replace Michael." Owen looked at me. "Replace Dad as what?" Before I could answer, Mercer's phone rang. Officers had gone to the first pawn shop. It was empty. Its records were burning behind the building, and a security camera showed Bell leaving 9 minutes earlier. The first pawn shop fire destroyed only trash bins. Its owner saw Bell burning sales slips and triggered the alarm. A rear camera captured his face and plate. Electronic records showed 6 transactions under Michael's name, each using his license copy and a convincing signature. The dates exposed them. On 2, Michael's badge placed him inside a secured courthouse project. On another, he attended a televised board meeting. Someone chose his identity because his debt made guilt believable, then ignored the records, making the forgery impossible. Detectives used June's photographs and engraved numbers at the other shops. They recovered my father's compass, 2 coins, and a locket. The third owner produced images of Grant presenting Michael's copied license, while Claire waited nearby. He remembered her arguing that June's ruby brooch deserved a higher price. Grant arrived during the search carrying cash to repurchase 3 items. He saw police, ran behind the building, and fell on ice. Officers arrested him with Michael's counterfeit license, blank bills of sale, and June's wedding ring in his pocket. The sight sickened me. Rachel went voluntarily to the station. She said Claire asked her to wear the bracelet publicly so Arthur would see it belonged with the women now. Rachel believed the family had agreed to redistribute June's possessions. She gave detectives her messages. One from Claire read, "If Owen refuses the first confession, Michael handles the cold room lesson." Bell had written, "Do not sell the ring. I need an original object bearing June's DNA with the replacement schedule." Evelyn explained that Bell planned to store the ring with his forged schedule, creating a false history that June had secured them together. 9 days after June died, Bell filed a memorandum claiming a revised schedule would remain private until my death. It named him successor trustee over Bennett Works royalties. June's real schedule named independent fiduciary Susan Cole to replace Michael if he relapsed into gambling or endangered Owen's inheritance. Bell replaced both the condition and trustee. Evelyn valued the royalties and reserve account at $2.4 million during Owen's minority. Claire believed the envelope granted Owen ownership. Bell knew it contained the duplicate schedule, exposing his forgery. Each planned to betray the other, after using Michael and Owen. Their scheme required Owen inside Pine Ridge by Monday, Michael discredited by debt and theft, and me convinced my grandson lied. Bell would then appear as the calm professional, rescuing a damaged family. Every layer rested on one belief: an 11-year-old would not be trusted. Michael identified Grant's storage unit. Police recovered 4 silver pieces, the second locket, 2 coins, June's letters, and packaging from the missing envelope. 11 of 17 items were secured. 3 had sold through an auction account linked to Grant's company. The brooch had gone out of state. The envelope and real schedule were missing. Owen called from the hospital while officers cataloged the unit. Grandma didn't keep the important paper in the cabinet. Her note says she did. That was our treasure rule. If a list named a place, we moved the object 1 spot left, so thieves found the wrong box. 1 place left of the envelope's shelf was the wall adjoining June's sewing room. She had built a hiding space behind a removable thread rack. Did Claire know? She saw me open it after Grandma died. My security application sounded before he finished. The back door had opened with Michael's old code. A camera showed Claire entering with a crowbar. Police were across town processing the storage unit. She had used the pawnshop fire to pull them away. I called Mercer as Claire climbed the stairs toward June's sewing room. He dispatched the nearest unit, but freezing rain had caused crashes across the county. Response time was 12 minutes. On screen, Claire removed the thread rack and reached into the wall. She pulled out June's sealed envelope and another item Owen had never mentioned, a small red ledger. Claire opened it, read 1 page, and stopped breathing. Then she called Bell. "You lied about what June left him," she said. Bell's answer came through the camera microphone. "Bring me the ledger. Burn the envelope." Claire looked toward June's photograph on the sewing table. "No. I finally know why you needed the boy gone." She pocketed both documents and turned toward the door. The hallway camera went black. A second later, every smoke alarm in my house began screaming. Claire had ignited paper in June's metal wastebasket to trigger the safety system. The alarm unlocked exterior doors and shifted cameras to emergency power. She cut the hallway feed, but the sewing room lens kept recording. I watched her hold June's envelope above the flame. Then she called me. "Tell Mercer Grant acted alone and Child Services that Thanksgiving was a misunderstanding." Owen's body temperature was not a misunderstanding. Then his letter becomes ash. She gave me 10 minutes to record a statement. I kept her talking while Mercer traced the call. What did the ledger show? Bell stole from us before I touched 1 bracelet. June had compared royalty deposits with legal invoices. For 7 years, Bell diverted money through fake fees. He invented the story about hidden ownership, because he needed her to find the duplicate schedule and ledger. You framed a child because a thief promised money. Michael destroyed our finances first. His guilt does not reduce yours. I refused her demand. The wastebasket tipped, and flame caught a curtain. Claire moved the documents away, proving she valued them too much to burn. Headlights entered my driveway. Bell stepped out. He reached the sewing room before police arrived. "You said the envelope controlled the company," Claire told him. "You heard what you wanted. The ledger proves you stole royalties. Give it to me, and I can protect you." "Like Grant?" Bell's voice turned cold. "Grant is expendable. So is Michael." "So are you." Claire opened the envelope and pulled out the original schedule. Bell lunged. They struck the sewing table, knocking June's photograph down. Claire hit him with the crowbar, but he seized the ledger and threw it toward the fire. Burning cloth fell across the doorway. Smoke swallowed the camera. At the hospital, Owen watched my screen. "Grandpa, your house is burning." I moved toward the elevator. Denise blocked me. "Firefighters are responding. Those papers are our proof." Owen called me back. Don't leave me for Grandma's things. For hours, I had condemned Michael for choosing property and fear over a child. Now I was about to teach Owen that a dead woman's papers mattered more than him. I returned and held his hand. "You're right. I'm here," Mercer called 4 minutes later. Police entered through the back as firefighters came through the front. They found Claire unconscious on the landing, and Belle trying to escape through a window. The ledger lay scorched, but readable inside the wastebasket. The envelope was beneath Claire, protected by Belle's leather folder. He had tried to save neither woman nor evidence. Evelyn opened the envelope at the station before investigators and a camera. There were no company shares. It held the original successor schedule, a letter to Owen, and royalty statements with Belle's false invoices circled in June's handwriting. The schedule appointed Susan Cole if Michael endangered Owen's inheritance and barred Belle from receiving trust fees. June had discovered his theft and collected proof quietly. The phrase Claire overheard Owen's "right to choose what happens to the family name" referred to my father's cabinet designs and the Bennett Works trademark. At 18, Owen could license the name, donate the archive, or let it end. Claire endangered him for a fortune invented by Belle. The ledger revealed Belle's larger design. His forged schedule would let him control the $2.4 million reserve, charge fees, and approve loans to his own firms. Pine Ridge was part of it. Its contract billed treatment to Owen's trust under the trustee's authority. Belle would be paid to confine the child whose money funded the institution employing him. Mercer placed the documents beside the audio transcript. This proves motive, forgery, conspiracy, and evidence destruction. The child endangerment case stands separately. Michael admitted signing an evaluation but denied the residential contract. Examiners found Claire copied his signature from a tax form. He asked whether cooperation would help restore custody. Denise replied, "Custody is not a reward. It depends on whether Owen can ever be safe with you." Through the glass, Claire saw the intact envelope. "Belle planned everything," she shouted. "Belle designed the trap," I said. "You placed a barefoot child inside it." Then the fire investigator called. Claire's prints were on the cut camera wire, but the accelerant bottle carried Michael's. "I've never seen it," he said. Belle and Claire had built one final layer. If the fire destroyed the documents, Michael would be blamed. Mercer studied the photograph and noticed the manufacturing code. The bottle came from a chemical lot sold only to Pine Ridge Maintenance. Belle had supplied it, but someone from the academy had delivered it to Claire. The conspiracy reached beyond the people already arrested. Then Denise's phone rang. A Pine Ridge transport van had arrived at the hospital to collect Owen despite the revoked order. The Pine Ridge driver arrived with 2 attendants and a document bearing a judge's electronic seal. Security stopped them before Owen's door. Denise saw it named Belle as trustee and Claire as guardian claims based on the forged schedule. Belle had copied a real seal from another case. "We were told the child was violent and his grandfather might abduct him," the driver said. Owen began pulling off his monitors. I stood between him and the door. Nobody takes him without his doctor, advocate, and child services agreeing. Mercer seized the paperwork and dispatch messages. They came from Pine Ridge Administrator Howard Latham, who approved Owen's collection after Michael revoked consent. Latham also supervised the department that purchased the accelerant found in my house. The driver admitted delivering Claire a sealed box that morning on Latham's order. Latham was arrested before dawn. A Pine Ridge search uncovered 11 children whose trusts paid the academy through Belle's associates. Several admissions relied on invented behavioral reports. Owen was selected, not because he needed treatment, but because his trust could be billed. The investigation lasted 9 months. Detectives recovered 15 of June's 17 items. The brooch returned from an auction buyer. 1 silver piece had been melted, and a coin remained missing. June's wedding ring came back scratched but whole. I did not polish it. The damage belonged to its history, as survival belonged to ours. Belle was charged with trust fraud, conspiracy, forgery, evidence destruction, attempted arson, and exploitation of a minor. Grant pleaded guilty and provided messages proving Claire organized the thefts and created Michael's false identification. Claire faced theft, forgery, intimidation, arson, and felony child endangerment. She blamed Belle, but the family chat, hospital call, and her fingerprints defeated that defense. Rachel received probation after cooperating. She apologized to Owen in writing. He stored the letter unanswered. Must I forgive her? No. Forgiveness under pressure is another forced confession. Michael was not charged with stealing the heirlooms, but he was charged for using Owen's college account and endangering him. Cooperation reduced his sentence. It did not erase 43 minutes. He pleaded guilty without changing the facts. At sentencing, the prosecutor read Owen's watch record minute by minute as the screen displayed the temperature falling. Michael heard every number. The judge ordered probation, restitution, gambling treatment, parenting classes, and supervised contact only if Owen's therapist approved. Owen was placed with me under a kinship order. Michael lost authority over his education, money, and care. Owen did not testify publicly. His forensic interview, audio, and photographs spoke without making him face those who threatened him. When Claire accepted a plea, she turned toward him in the hallway. "I never meant for you to be hurt," Owen answered. "You took my shoes." 4 words defeated every excuse. Belle went to trial. Evelyn placed June's schedule beside his forgery. An accountant traced the invoices, and the pawn shop owner identified him burning records. His own recorded promise to make people doubt Owen's truth destroyed him. The jury convicted him on every major count. Pine Ridge lost its license, and misused payments were returned to families. Michael began treatment before sentencing. He sold Bennett Construction, restored Owen's college account, and rented a small apartment. For 6 months, he requested no visits. He sent brief letters listing meetings attended, debts paid, and lies corrected. He never wrote, "I deserve another chance." His 7th letter said, "You do not owe me forgiveness because I finally became honest." Owen read it 3 times. "Can I see him without going home?" "Yes." Their first supervised visit lasted 20 minutes. Michael did not touch Owen until the boy offered his hand. "I chose fear over your safety," Michael said. "Why didn't you open the door?" "Every minute I waited made admitting the last minute harder. That explains it. It does not excuse it." Owen did not forgive him that day. Healing did not arrive when court ended. It began when nobody demanded a child move faster than his pain. 11 months after Thanksgiving, I asked if Michael should be invited to dinner. Owen looked toward June's bracelet. "He can come. But I decide whether he sits at our table." It was Owen's choice. The next Thanksgiving, the temperature was 36 degrees, but Owen checked it 3 times before breakfast. Cold had become something he measured, not trusted. My hallway was repaired, June's sewing room repainted, and a new camera covered the back door. Owen chose to keep it active. Cameras don't lie. People choose what pictures mean. At 12, he sometimes sounded older than those who failed him. Our gathering was smaller. Denise approved Lily's visit because she now lived safely with her father. She brought the dollhouse Owen built. Inside its tiny bedroom, she had found the final missing coin beneath a loose floorboard. Claire had hidden it there to discover later as more evidence. Lily handed it to Owen. "I knew you didn't take it. But you were scared." "Yes, me too." They hugged without pretending fear had never separated them. Evelyn came with Susan Cole, June's chosen trustee. Susan explained every rule to Owen plainly. No adult could borrow against his college account or alter his trust without court review. His future would never again depend on someone's private version of what was best. Michael was invited for 4. At 3:55, he stood outside, holding no gifts and no speech. Owen watched through the window. 5 minutes early, he said. Michael had once believed 5 cold minutes were small enough to use as punishment. Now he waited by choice. "Should I open it?" I asked. "No." Owen went to the door. "If I say stop talking, will you stop?" "Yes." "If I don't hug you?" "I won't ask." "If I get angry?" "You're allowed." "If I never live with you again?" Michael's face tightened. "I will still become someone safe." Owen opened the door. It was not forgiveness. It was permission for 1 meal, and Michael understood. He sat where Owen directed, near the end of the table. Nobody asked Owen to perform gratitude. We allowed dinner to be ordinary. Then he asked, "Did you know I could see you through the window?" Michael set down his fork. "Yes." "What were you thinking?" That opening the door would let Claire expose what I had done. So you picked yourself. Yes, I called it saving the family. But I made you carry the punishment for my fear. Owen's eyes filled. I kept waiting for you to look at me. I looked. That is what shames me most. Michael did not ask for forgiveness. He accepted the pain his answer caused. I wanted to soften the moment, but love had done enough speaking for them. This honesty belonged to father and son. I remained quiet and let it stand. After dinner, Owen opened June's letter beside her recovered bracelet. She wrote that the Bennett name belonged to no company or adult. A family name was a promise. Tell truth when silence is easier. Protect the person with less power, and never turn love into debt. Owen could license the old designs, donate them, or let them disappear. Your inheritance is not the duty to preserve our name, she wrote. It is the freedom to decide whether our name behaved well enough to deserve preserving. Owen chose to donate the Bennett Works archive to the community college where Michael learned carpentry. Licensing income would support emergency housing for children removed from unsafe homes. He kept only June's cedar treasure cabinet. That is better than what I would have chosen, Michael said. That's why Grandma left it to me. It was not cruel, it was true. Supervised visits continued over the following months. Some ended early because Owen felt tired or angry. Michael never argued. He completed treatment, worked as a project manager, and paid restitution. Custody was not restored, and he stopped asking when it might be. The more he respected Owen's control, the less Owen needed to defend it. Rachel was not invited. Owen answered her fourth apology with one sentence. I believe you are sorry, but I am not ready to know you again. Mercy did not require an unlocked door. On the anniversary of the night, I found him outside. Owen and I mounted a brass plate above the mudroom entrance. It was made from the silver piece melted before recovery. The inscription read, "No child earns warmth. It is given because they are here." Michael stood beside us without touching it. Owen handed him the final screw. Together they tightened it into the wood. Snow began falling lightly. Owen stepped onto the porch in his coat and boots, held the door, and looked at his father. "Are you coming in?" Michael paused. "Only if you want me to." Owen nodded. I watched my grandson close the door against the cold, not to keep someone powerless outside, but because everyone he chose to protect was finally inside. That was the inheritance June had guarded all along.